I think our world is so far gone. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sips and Scripts, the podcast where we make a cocktail and talk about one of our favorite films from the past and present. Hi, I'm Kayla Rose, and I'm an entertainment blogger at inmytheater.com.
Hi, I'm Terrell, and I'm a film enthusiast.
Hi, I'm Kirsten Jackson, and I'm a blogger and cocktail influencer at lowcountrysocialite.com. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Hey,
Welcome. We've had a couple weeks off, but we are back.
Yeah.
Back and ready for
Glad
whatever.
to be here. Glad to be here, guys.
Back and ready for the bullshit.
Oh, yeah. Today's gonna be one. Today it's gonna feel like it's gonna bring wrath into your body.
Oh God!
But we gonna make it through.
I don't want none of that.
We're gonna make it. We're gonna make it.
What is that? It's coming into my body.
I can feel it.
Oh Lord!
Wait a minute. Is that wrath?
Yes. Well, before we get into all that, what is everybody up to this week? What y'all been working on?
So I became a TikToker over the weekend or the week because I got a campaign for Hotel Transylvania 4. And they required us to do a video. And so I was like, okay, I don't know what I'm going to do, guys. I have no idea what I'm doing. I didn't know a concept. So I said, you know what? The TikTokers be having it. So I got on TikTok and researched how the other people be doing the things. And I made my first little TikTok video and people viewed it. And it was so nice. And I was like, I've got to make more.
Well, okay, nice.
Well, that is nice. I hate TikTok. I mean, like I like looking at it and stuff, but I don't know. Like when I'm on Instagram and when TikTok came around, I was like, I don't want to learn shit else.
I'm not gonna lie to you. It's very hard. I did not get it on my first go round. I'm trying to find more ways to do, because TikToks and Instagram reels are about the same thing. So I'm trying to find more ways to incorporate them. Oh my God.
TikTok. I have not learned TikTok yet, so it's still hard for
IG
me.
reels and TikToks are the same thing. I shot the video just with my camera, and when I uploaded it to IG, I did the same thing for TikTok. You just upload the video.
I have a TikTok.
Terrell, do you be TikToking?
No, I let Landon TikTok.
And you need to let my baby be a star. You a hater.
Period. Point blankety blank. He deserves to be a star.
Because he low-key already is one.
Okay, period. Period. I don't even know this little boy, but I believe in him.
Well, good. I'm glad someone believes in him.
Oh,
wow! You watch your mouth out my damn
I'm just joshing. Nah, he's cool. He likes he's young child into social media, even though he doesn't have any social media, but he sees YouTube. He wants to be a YouTuber.
Now, if he got any type of skill and he want to be a YouTuber, them kid product testers, them children be making like $100,000 a year in like 2 months.
We need to get on that then. Wake up!
You
time
might
to get to work.
Get y'all asses up. Time to work.
You too, little baby.
Oh Lord. What you working on besides breaking child labor laws?
Oh no.
Well, let me see. I got basketball with my son. He has started playing in a league. This is the first serious league that we actually pay real money to. So he's in training, and then he had his first game over the weekend, and the first game he did better than I thought. Second game, not so good, but he still tried. And as long as you're trying, I'm here for it. Nah, I support it.
We love to see a basketball star.
Yes, a TikTok star, a YouTube star, and a basketball star. Okay,
Here
All
for
in the
it.
making.
so he got 3 jobs. That's all.
and a school star. He definitely used to be a school star.
Oh yeah.
Look, man. Okay, if you say so. We don't want him to be no dummy, but look, man, school. Stay in school, kids. Anyway, I ain't working on shit, and I'm enjoying it.
Okay.
Okay.
That's
Period.
really, yeah.
Rest.
Rest. As an influencer, I took January off, and I took January off last year, and I'm like gonna make that a every year thing.
Mhm.
So my content will run February to December, and that's about all my soul can bear. That's it, man.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody needs a little me time, a time away from social media, especially if you're doing a lot of posting and a lot of
Mhm.
campaigns and things of that nature. So, amen.
Right.
Take mental health month.
Yeah, because especially because like the holidays is like a big time for influencers, like all that holiday campaigns and all that content and stuff. So, which I didn't do much in December, and I enjoyed that as well. So, but
Do you enjoy being an influencer?
I
I'm gonna take January, February, March. I'm gonna take that off too.
Yes, just a little seasonal sabbatical.
Mhm.
No, I love being an influencer, but it's a lot. It's a lot to always be on. Like you have to keep up with like things that are trending and know what's going on. And then because you're like always connected to social media, you hear everything. So like all these deaths and just all this like wickedness going on in the world. It's like that's a lot.
It is. It's a
and I
lot.
don't think people talk about that part of it as much as they should. So, but yeah, let's get into this movie, which actually we did not do a movie this week. We are talking about the Emmett Till series that was on ABC. So this is our first time doing a series or a series period because we usually do movies. But
Yep.
yeah, we figured it was absolutely relevant
and important to talk about for Black History Month.
True. So the name of the series is Women of the Movement, and I've been reading up on it, but it really just talks about this season with Emmett Till. So I'm wondering if it's going to be like, okay, the next season will be another Woman of the Movement, or
maybe I would think so. I think that's what's going to happen. It's going to kind of trickle down into all the different parts of Women of the Movement.
Yeah, because I would be interested to see like not necessarily little known women of the movement, because like Mamie Till, everybody knows who she is, but people don't know her full story like they would know like Martin Luther King or Malcolm X. So it was interesting to watch this whole series and to just see how involved she was in the civil rights movement. Of course, sparked by the death or murder. Let's call it what it is. Murder of her son Emmett. So yeah. So let's just start off talking about some of the technical aspects of the show. So it's a historical drama based on the murder of Emmett Till and the reaction of the world and his mother's role in sharing that experience with the world, because it's credited with like really, really kicking off the civil rights movement, like that experience being shared.
It was so interesting for me to see because, I never thought that was what sparked the civil rights movement at all, just not the uptick that it did. And what was so very interesting is this was all kind of still happening with with the voter registration that was still a heavy problem too. So I always thought that is what sparked the civil rights, like all of the not being able to vote and stuff like that. So people were already getting unrest, but I didn't never realize that this was the thing that was like blam 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 blam. Like, no, this is it here.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it definitely was a catalyst for the movement. But lynchings of this kind have been happening like for years, hundreds of years. And but it was like, you know, of course there were problems in the North, but most of that stuff was like isolated to the South.
Yes.
And people were down there were afraid. They were afraid to talk. So, you know, they did not share that kind of information. It was always like the secret murmurings of things that were happening in the South. And, you know, people in the North, they had already migrated. And not to say that they didn't care about their family down there, but it was like, oh, well, we're up here. And then you also have to think about news does not travel as fast as it does now.
Yes.
So yeah, so now if it was social media, that could spark outrage everywhere. But you know, a lot of stuff the North did not hear about, and if they did hear about it, it was, well, they ought to come up here. You know?
Right.
Which I think was easier to say than it was to do, because a lot of those people, they grew up down there. They were some of them were probably children of former slaves or former slaves themselves, and working that land was something that they knew.
Right.
And so they became sharecroppers, or they worked for other people to work their land. And coming up north, that's not something you can do up there. What skill would you have if you're not as educated or have a skill that could be used in that environment? So I see why a lot of people ended up staying down south, because that's all they knew their whole life. And then people who thought, well, I can do better, or I want to do better, I need to move up to where I can be appreciated, so I can learn a trade, so I can get into some of these businesses up north and make sure my family's okay, my children are okay. So yeah, it was, I understood why.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And migrating north had its risks too.
Yes.
Because you know, you were leaving the life that you have known for years, leaving that behind. 9 times out of 10, you were going to go stay with family who probably already had their own family, plus other people from the South had already been there. So like homes were full, you know, because every time, like with this series in particular, they released it over 3 weeks, 2 episodes at a time, and each release week had like an accompanying documentary, like docu-series to go with it. And they were talking about like all the great migration that happened, and like how these houses were like jam-packed with families. Like it would be nothing for a house to have like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, a dozen family members in it. So it was not easy to migrate. Of course, you were going to hopefully better opportunities, but you know, and then also, I guess because I live in the age of social media, I think about how social media has an impact on the way we live our lives now. They rather did not have that. So you would be leaving what you know to go into what you do not know at all. All you know is you talk to your cousins on the phone every couple of months, and they're like, you should move up here.
And it was the same way. Like if you think about it, the kids who grew up north, and we see that with Emmett, he's like, no, I can handle going to the South, but he's never experienced what it was like to be in the South. And so it was just very interesting to see, because as someone who obviously grew up nothing like that, I'm like, dang, like these kids really didn't have much. Like what happened to Emmett could have happened to literally anyone, like because he did not know. And if you don't know, you don't know that the risk that you're taking, going down somewhere, you can think you have all your bearings together, like, no, I check all the boxes, mom, and then you do that one thing that is different, and now it's like detrimental. And watching this just made me mad at a couple of people, but we ain't really got into it yet.
Yeah.
But I
Man.
really, really love this because it showed me something that I just never really saw. Every time you think about like people in this time, which was like the 1950s, I always think downtrodden, like, oh God, we just got off their plantation. We're not doing well at all. But they really showed that like the people were doing okay. Like they were happy families. Mammy telling them they got together for Sunday lunches and brunches, and they were actually able to travel from Mississippi all the way up to where were they, Detroit. They were happy and loving, and it started looking up for us, and I don't think I've ever seen a depiction of that too much
Mm-hmm.
In any type of series or anything like that. So it was really nice for me to see,
the scenes with like Mamie and her family, like before they get into the tragedy, is really beautiful Black scenes. Like
Yes.
we see a family around a table and breaking bread. We see Emmett playing in the streets with his friends, playing with his cousins. And one of the things that I absolutely enjoyed about this series before the rage and the wrath ensued was that the Emmett Till story is not new to me. I've known about it since, as a child, well, probably a teenager. As a child, we weren't taught that kind of stuff. You had to seek it out as a teenager.
Yeah.
But the only thing that I really knew was what happened to him at 14, and that was it. I did not really know about the role his mother played. I did not know about his life before 14, and there was so much more to Emmett than what happened to him. And I think that we were really blessed to see these scenes of him, just this Black boy joy, just how he loved to laugh, and he was kind to his friends, and he loved to sing and loved to interact with his family. He was protective of his mother. And it was really good to see that, because usually because I've seen documentaries and it starts right at 14, what happens to him, and then
boom,
and goes on.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
what did you all think about his birth and how they automatically wanted to have him institutionalized just based on what they thought would happen to him, that he wouldn't be able to walk or talk or anything like that? So what did y'all think of that? Because that was something, I guess that's something that was normal during that time period, that if your child didn't come out perfectly, that you should institutionalize the child just based on what the doctors thought. What did y'all think of that?
I don't have any reference of what it was like for real, but I'm sure that a lot of Black women lost their babies that way. I'm sure.
Yeah.
When
it comes to mental health and disabilities and stuff like that, women and children suffered a lot because it was nothing for a woman to be institutionalized herself. If she was having any mental health problems, or if she was not pleasing her husband right or acting right, they could just scoop her up and put her in an institution. There was a really big shift, I would say, in the maybe 70s into the 80s, where they stopped with that whole institution thing. Because you're right, Terrell, if you had a child that was not born perfect, whatever that is, they would put them in an institution, and that was just what was done. And so that's why you don't see a lot of representation or a lot of stories about people with disabilities, because they were pushed away. They were pushed to the outskirts of society. They were put in institutions. And so we get to see Mamie's strength from the beginning. And even though it technically wasn't the whole story, he got that speech impediment and the limp from contracting polio. It wasn't necessarily from the birth.
Okay.
Yeah, I do like that they did put that in there just to show that Mamie believed in her son from birth.
Period.
Mm-hmm.
My kid will not be one of them. That's what she said. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But what was so interesting was like he was breached and he just had like skin patches when he was born that I saw. Am I correct? Like,
I assume that was from them probably using the forceps to try and get him out and turn him around.
That's what I was like. That is a big jump to say institutionalize him. Like,
yeah.
Speaking of big, that was a big ass baby. Did y'all see that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was a big one.
You know they be using like 12-year-olds.
They really do. Like that motherfucker just walked out. Like that was a big ass baby, and I was like, that could have been cast a little better, but okay.
Yeah.
It should have cast a better baby.
Yeah. That was when they plopped that damn baby in her arms. I was damn.
I like never looked into this, but I'm sure the reason that they don't use like smaller or newborn babies is because they're still like you're putting them on set and they still have immune systems that they need to build up. So I'm assuming that's why they don't use fresh babies, but you could have picked a smaller baby, Lord. It's okay.
Yeah, that was a lot. I was but y'all, she ain't walking for a while.
Oh God.
But like, it's just I also it was important that scene showed us just how they were up north, but things were obviously better, but it wasn't much great. Better. Yeah, because this nurse really delayed that delivery, and
they could have found out a lot sooner,
right?
And got to her a lot sooner.
Mm-hmm.
But let's talk about her mama though. Her mama was like, not my daughter, when do you expect her to wait? Yeah. And like if that was any time that during this present day, they'd have sued the hell out of her.
Yes, it would have been sued. You're right.
You know what? When people be like, we need reparations, like, yes, reparations for slavery, but we also need reparations for the shit y'all put us through when we was free.
Oh, there's so many like minor, not necessarily minor, but I guess like as compared to slavery, but the injustices that like have happened to Black people that have just caused like so many problems. And that's like, it just irks me when people are like, oh, racism is dead. Nobody experiences that anymore. And it's like things like that, like those minor microaggressions and minor injustices that place Black people behind. But let's move forward to Emmett leaving. Now, when me and my honey were watching this, because let me tell y'all, I cannot watch stuff like this alone. And I learned that while watching this.
Yes. Yeah.
I cannot watch this stuff alone. Like, so me and my honey were watching it because I have to, at the end of it, I have to discuss and I have to decompress or I will go into a rage.
Oh, jeez.
And I will hate everybody.
Wait a minute. Hold on now. Let's talk about this.
Yeah, I have to spend at least like 10 minutes after and be like, did you see that shit, man?
Yeah.
How you feel about that shit? Because it made me mad.
Yeah.
So I have to really like take some time and decompress. One of the things that we talked about was like, because Randall looked at me, he was like, I don't know if I would have let my child go down there. And I was, well, I see why you would say that.
Yeah, because of what happened. Yeah. Hindsight is always 20/20. Of
course. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, you got to think about it. Like, Emmett was this boy, and they saw him as spoiled, and Mamie loved him. She doted on him because that was her only baby.
Yes.
And they, your uncles and stuff come up from the South, and they like, oh, that boy need a man around, and we need to bring him down here and teach him how to fish and all that stuff.
Get him out here. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Get him out here in the field. Let him work. Let him do some hard work.
Yeah, let him know what it feel like to work hard. Because that old folks they want you to know what it's like to work hard.
So true.
Yes.
He never lied.
So I could see it happening, and I could see where it took some convincing, but she finally did it because I'm a pretty sure she had conversations with herself like, oh, I need to let this boy grow up. And what do y'all think about that? Kayla, you looking crazy.
Yes.
Okay, I'm with you that hindsight is always 2020 because I'm like, would I have let my kid go without me? No. I don't think I would have let them go without me. Number one, I'm protective. Okay. And then like knowing that they were going somewhere and I just wouldn't be able to get to them if something went wrong. But you know what? In this situation, it really didn't matter because they went out and did what they weren't supposed to do anyways.
Yeah.
And it was not like you would not have been able to keep up with him everywhere they went because they were told you can go from pick a damn cotton. I didn't know that, but good child, I forgot that people still pick cotton after they was free. I would never have touched a cotton field, but here we are. Anywho, they let them go, and it's not like I would have followed him out with his friends. It's not like he had a cell phone. I could have called him and been like, hey, where y'all at? It's nighttime. Get back home.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like I could. So it's almost like you were, even if you went down there, it still could have happened.
Yes.
So like my answer probably still stands the same though. I don't think I would have let them go down there without me.
I could see that, like maybe I will say one of the things that I struggle with, and I had to really check myself on this and be like, okay, remember the time period you're in. But I was like, you know, from what we read, what we see on the series and what we read and know about Emmett, he was a very spirited child. And part of that was his personality, and some of that was some of his disability from as much as we know, because a lot of that stuff was not studied. It would be like, that child off. It wasn't like no diagnosis like we have autism and stuff like this today. I don't know. I don't want to say what I would and wouldn't do, but I would be scared to send my very spirited child because he was friendly and kind, and it would be nothing for him to go and speak to someone that he was technically not supposed to speak to and just not even think twice about it. And so I don't know.
But you know what? To me, if I had been down there, he would have been more willing to tell me what happened, I feel like. I think that he didn't tell his mom what happened because he didn't want her to worry about him so far away, X, Y, and Z. But if she had been there and he's like, hey, mom, like this, I think he would have been more inclined to be like, this is what happened today. And they would have gotten the hell out of Dodge.
Because from my understanding with the documentary that followed the episodes, Emmett wanted to tell his uncle what happened, but the cousins were like,
don't say
no.
Yeah. Because they weren't supposed to be there anyway.
Right.
Let me tell you something. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna say it was the cousin's fault. That older cousin. Because at the end of the day, them white people did what them white people were gonna do. But that older cousin did not take as much care as he should have with his younger cousins. He let his friends rile him up, knowing that he probably was going to do that. And then, number one, when you told them, let's go into town, first of all, when you let them other boys rile him up, when you heard him say goodbye, when you got on the road and was like, oh shit, let's not tell our father that this happened. Like all of those things does not make you.
It was a recipe for just
because
chaos.
If they would have told him, they all probably would have left.
Yeah.
And it would have died down eventually. Or if not, at least, and I'm not gonna say at least Emmett wouldn't be the one, because we never know what they would have done if they would have chosen someone else and just was like blah blah blah. But at least the anger probably would have been a little bit diluted whenever they returned, and this situation might not have happened. But I am not placing the blame on this happening on the other older cousin. But I am saying, like, older kids, you are responsible for these younger kids when you decide.
Well, that's a lot of pressure to put on.
No. When you decide to take them out where they're not supposed to be, it is your responsibility to watch after them. If you're inviting them along to the movies with you, it is your responsibility to watch after those kids. And if you can't be responsible, leave their ass at home.
Right. But
But I
oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, go
But
ahead,
I
sir.
think that it's a difference between the North and the South, and they think a lot of, especially down South, everybody talks about how great the North is, how good the
Mm-hmm.
North is, and that probably played into, oh, he think he hot stuff. He here from
Mm-hmm.
Chicago. He trying to show out down here. This my neighborhood. This is where I stay. Well, go
Mm-hmm.
ahead and let them act the fool for a little bit. Then I'll rein them in.
Yeah.
But he wasn't able to do it. Somebody should have went in the store. They should have went in. All of them should have went in together if they were going to go into the store.
Right.
Got what they needed to get. As soon as Emmett was about to say something, they could have been like, "Oh, whoa, let's just go. This is
Yeah.
not what you want."
Yeah. Because I think, and I can't speak for the cousins and all that stuff, but it very well, just like Terrell said, it very well could have been like that whole North-South rivalry. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Emmett come down here. He from the North, and Emmett is friendly and talks a lot, and will speak to strangers. But sometimes people who are not accustomed to that will see that as, oh, he's slick talking, oh, he's arrogant, and that could have very well played a factor, in what happened. Don't know, wasn't there, but it's absolutely possible.
But to answer your question about what, because I have two sons,
My
and
babies.
yeah, I just that tore me up. Just knowing what was going to happen to him, even just thinking about letting my child go somewhere. We let Landon go to overnight camp. I think it was like a week-long camp.
I remember.
And every day we just was like, is he okay? Just thinking, did something happen to him? We haven't heard anything, but just that whole just not knowing when your child is gone, even for a short period of time, because Emmett wasn't supposed to be gone, but for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that baby was on down there a week, and that happened.
Exactly. So anything can happen at a drop of a dime. Situations can turn from bad to worse, especially going to a place you've never been before, around people that you don't usually associate with or hang out with. I mean, it's a tough choice, but hindsight, no, I wouldn't let him go. But knowing my family, I would have let him go. Y'all family, we family. I know y'all. It's not like I'm sending him to some strangers. I'm sending them to your uncle's house. I'm sending you to your grandma's house. I'm sending you to your.
And back then, everybody raised your child. Everybody. So it was nothing to go to a family member's house and stay there. Because I know I had cousins that came down and stayed with me for a week. Like my cousin Carmen. I mean, she was just in Atlanta, but it would be nothing for her to come down, stay a week or two. I mean, it was just what they did. People sent their kids from the North to the South and from the South to the North to let them experience both sides. So, but I'm not a parent. I can't imagine how a parent would feel like, on the one hand, if you keep him, you smothering your child, you need to let him experience that boy be a man. But then, the South is like known for lynchings and Jim Crow. What do you do? What do you do? It's no way to know.
It's almost like no right, because anything can happen at any time. And that is one thing in life that is never going to change. So as much as you want to protect them, you just never know. You just never know, man.
Yeah.
It sucks. And
I think about the scene where she basically tells him to play small. Like, if a white person passes you, if you bump into him, get on your knees if you have to, beg for forgiveness. And I'm like, that was another time where I had to be like, okay, check your privilege, check the time period you're in, because we live in this Black Pride era right now. But back then, that it wasn't like that.
No,
it was you better beg for your life.
Yes, because it was basically your life was on the line anytime you interacted with white people.
Right,
your life had to be on the line, and that was unfortunate, especially during a time right after slavery, going into Jim Crow, ending of segregation. The South was rough. And they really show how rough the South could be compared to the North. And I was like, wow.
They did. But I will say they did also show how beautiful the South can be.
Yes.
Because there were some beautiful scenes with the cousins and Emmett. Even picking cotton, even those damn cotton fields were beautiful. But it's just so funny how watching those scenes, it's like cotton fields are really beautiful, especially like the cinematography they use to show it. But it's like watching it as a Black person, you know the pain in those fields. You know the history of behind it, and you can feel the struggle. And it's so interesting to look at this beautiful scenery and like the juxtaposition of beauty and pain all at the same time. And so I thought that those scenes were done really well. We had some beautiful scenes of the boys swimming.
Yes.
That was so lovely to watch. Just these boys having fun right before the fun was over. That was the last bit of fun we saw.
You're right. You're right about that. That was the end of all fun.
Yeah, that was it. When I first started watching the series, I did not like it at first.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm tell you why. But then the reason why I didn't like it also then became the reason that I did like it. Because in the beginning, like we were watching it and I don't know if I like this. And I was like, the way they're presenting it, it's almost as if they're trying to say that it's all Emmett's fault, that what happened to him was because of what he did, this and that. And I was like, I don't know if I really like that, because you know, the story that was told to us before, like all the events unfolded and, you know, us giving access to the information was that, you know, he might have whistled at this white woman or he might not have. We don't know. And so like when this story starts like opening up, you know, we find out about the speech impediment and the wolf whistle and the lies and all that stuff. And I was like, they trying to make it seem like it was all that baby's fault, but nobody should do that to nobody. I was like, well, I do like that as far as we know, and because we do have like the accounts from the cousins that are still alive, you know, he did go down there and, you know, was playful and probably got a little too friendly, not nearly as friendly as the white woman lied and said.
Exactly.
He did go down there. He was probably a little too friendly. Whether he whistled because of his speech impediment or whether he whistled to be funny, we're not really sure because Emmett is not here to tell us. But I do appreciate that they told the truth on both sides. But I think that a very nice buffer for this was it being told through the eyes of Mamie, because it's like, okay, even though my child went down there and in those days what he did was out of pocket, it still seemed like through, this is my baby, this like through the tenderness of a mother's eyes. So I think that the series was like really carefully crafted to tell a truthful, you know, reenactment of the story, but also like through a mother's eyes. And I think that was like a very strong way to do that. And I appreciated it because, you know, we learned, which I didn't know, about the Black involvement in what happened. We didn't know about the cousins kind of hyping him up to do it. Or the cousins' friends hyping him up to do it. We did not know about possibly there were 2 Black guys that helped beat him. So there was some Black involvement, but it, you know, the series also made sure to let us know that, because first when you hear that, you're like, so Black people was involved. What?
Yeah, exactly. Like, how could they?
Right. But they didn't have any choice.
Exactly.
They worked for these white families and these white men, and they did what they were told.
Exactly.
So
I know this is gonna sound crazy because I am me, and I was born in 1995, and I'm young.
We don't hold that against you all the time.
But I just was like, no one was brave enough to be like, nope, I'm not gonna let this happen. the black people who went with him. Okay, so the two black people, I don't know. I think that if I knew that there was a kid, like a kid who was about to be killed, I think I would have bossed up and been like, "No, we're not gonna let this shit." Because my thing is, it's two black people against two white people, right? It was two black people who went down there with them to get that little boy, and it's two white folks. My nigga, either we all finna die, or it's either we or I'm gonna kill you. Like, that's how I feel. Like, I feel like I would have been in them. I know it's probably easier said than done, but I feel like I'd have looked at my brother over here and my brother over we'd have looked at each other and been like, nah, we not finna let this shit go down. We finna kill y'all.
But they weren't friendly. That's the reason they even pointed them out, because they weren't friendly with Emmett when they saw him, because they bumped into each other in the street.
Mm-hmm.
And Emmett, you could see the fear on Emmett's face when they were in the town again, and when they were about to go to that party.
I hate it here.
But
You're right.
even if they had, let's say they stopped the white men from killing Emmett and they killed the white men, then you got these white people would have burned that entire community to the ground to find those black people, and killed anybody along the way who knew them, going to their families, killed them. A white man's blood spilled by the hands of two black men. It would have been Rosewood over there.
Yeah, and I
didn't think about that. I didn't think about that at all.
But no, that's a valid statement, because I'm sure a lot of people think that. But me and Terrell, who grew up like brother and sister, if something was happening to him, I feel like I would want to stand up for him. But in that kind of situation, it wouldn't stop it just killing me.
Mm-hmm.
They would be like, oh, and since you raised that little nigger that raised up at us, we're gonna kill your whole family.
Mm-hmm. And it would have been justified.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't have thought twice. It would just been, we got rid of some more.
Yeah, I didn't think about that at all. So excuse me, sorry.
But no, it's just the whole brainwashing of blacks from slavery on to fear whiteness and to not stand up to it. And that's why I like bless Uncle Mose, bless him, because
I felt bad for him.
I'm pretty sure there were plenty. Yeah, me too. I'm pretty sure there were plenty of people watching. Like, oh, he just gave his uncle up. Gave his nephew.
Mm-hmm.
He just gave his nephew up like that. But
especially after the promise that he made. And that was another thing I wrote down. I was like, the promise that he made, that broke my heart when he made that promise, and I knew later on that he would not be able to keep that promise.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, absolutely. Like, because, like, my honey was like, I don't know if I could do that. I think, like, I would have died, like, trying to protect my nephew, because he's one that just loves his family. But I don't know. Like, was a sharecropper for years and years and years under the white man.
Mm-hmm.
So it was brought up, raised, and trained to fear and not to talk back and to do what he is told to save his life and his family. Yeah. And even though Emmett's life is just as important as anybody else's, but he still had his whole family to have to stay and take care of.
Yes.
And gosh, I hate to say it, but like, to lay down your life for, one person, especially a person who, well, he didn't know the whole story then, but I don't know. That's a lot. And so I watch this stuff and I have to really check myself and be like, there's no way you could know what you would do in that circumstance.
Yeah, exactly. They come there late at night. They have guns. They threaten to shoot whoever because his wife walked out. You better get back in there. What you gonna do? No, I ain't going up. No, you're not going. No, you're gonna go back. You're not gonna say no.
Yeah, Like,
turn on the lights, give us that boy. They didn't even have a working light bulb in there to turn a light on. So the struggle was already going on with them as it is. And these people show up, they looking for this kid from Chicago. You got a full house, because it wasn't just Emmett. He said, I got a full house. They had people everywhere, all out throughout the house.
right. Multiple people sleeping in one bed. Like, those boys were sleeping in the same bed. It was like 3 apiece in the bed. So, I mean, what could he do? And then so I like this, especially the scenes where he was like, no, not that, but that's my baby right there. That's my boy. And I was like, I'm pretty sure people are watching that like, oh.
But would you give up your child?
Right. I mean, because he basically was like, no, that's not him.
Like, no, that's not the one.
No, that's my grandboy. No.
Yeah.
That was heavy. That was heavy. But
do you think there's anything he could have done differently? You think if he would have known about them going into town that he could have done something differently? Because later on they end up moving. It was like after they went to talk to the sheriff, they end up the family, hey, take them and go somewhere else. Y'all got to go. And that was something I was like, wow. So you really have to get your whole family out of the area just to go talk to the police because something could happen to your family? Like,
I feel like my only takeaway as far as what could have been done differently is that kids, if you're listening, even though you shouldn't be, because this is R-rated podcast because we have potty mouth sometimes. But if you're, please, no matter what is going on, tell your parents something. Tell an adult something, because if they had gone home, instead of just trying to lay low and just think that things are going to blow over, if they would have just told Uncle Mose, maybe he could have put Emmett on a train, the next train, to be like, oh, you got to get up out of here.
Yeah.
You got to get out of here.
Go.
But then
somebody would have had to atone for it. They would have put somebody.
Because we really don't know if he'd have been like, oh, because I was thinking like, if they would have came in and Mose would have been like, oh no, we put that boy on a train. He went back to Chicago. We noticed he wasn't gonna cut it down here. They would have took one of them kids. They would have took one of the boys.
Exactly.
Because they probably wouldn't have believed him.
Yeah.
And you know how they had the Emmett say something so that the white woman could be like, that's him, or look at him or something. She very well could have been like, yeah, that's him, any one of them. So, I mean, you just don't know how it could have been different. Like, that was, but yeah, that kidnapping scene was rough. And I noticed how they kind of stretched it out, because it could have been they ran up in there, got Emmett, and left. But no, they stretched out that whole interaction between Mose, the going room to room, looking at all the kids that were in there. And it was just it was a lot. And Emmett's mother, Mamie, who was played by beautiful Adrienne Warren, Tony Award winning actress, she was on Broadway with the Tina.
Tina Turner? Really?
She played Tina Turner.
Nice. I didn't know that.
Yeah. She's so freaking beautiful. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, I was like, who is she? Because I had never seen her before. I was like, she's someone new. I haven't seen her on anything. But now that you're saying she's a Broadway actress, so I was like, okay, now that makes sense. But yeah, she's hopefully this will springboard her into other films outside of Broadway.
Yeah, because everyone is just talking about how wonderful a job she did, and the one who played Emmett Till, Cedric Joe, I think his name.
Yeah,
and
because you could during those moments before he was taken, you could feel the dread in his actions, the dread in his face. You could tell it was the fear. It felt real.
Yeah. I think they conveyed that in a really effective way. and I always thought it was neat, and this is kind of superficial, but I thought it was neat how when you look at the old pictures of Emmett and his mama, they both had these round faces, and they chose actors that had these round faces. And I was like, okay, that's neat. But
they look pretty. Yeah, when you look at the pictures, I was like, wow, they really did a good job casting.
I loved her. I love the mother character that they chose for her. Her mom. Oh God, she gave me just.
I liked her, but I did not like how she acted. Not acted as in her acting, but acted as in after Emmett became missing, after they brought the body back. I didn't like how she acted toward her daughter during that time, because I think she really leaned on her mother, and her mother was kind of like, you need to let this go and just grieve, but she wanted to do more than that. And
but I felt it was quite typical, though.
Really?
Dun, dun, dun. This brings me to my favorite quote in this entire series, where she said, "You raised me to be a good girl, and good girls don't fight back. But I can't help but wonder where I would be if you had raised me to fight." I think that her mom was so afraid for her. Like, I've already lost my grandson. I need you to be realistic. That boy is dead. You need to snap into reality. He's not alive. You need to let this go before they also take you. I am feared for your life. I need you to come here with me. But because her daughter had so much fire in her, said, no, I will not roll over and let them get away with this. I thought it was perfect. I mean, obviously, that's not the response we would have want our mom to have made, but I really think that she made the response that she gave was out of fear for her daughter's life now. And I mean, is that not what all the parents, it kind of trickled down? Like, my responsibility is you. I'm scared for you. Yeah. Mammy's responsibility was for her son. I'm going to fight this through. So I feel like it matched up. I feel like that's exactly what would have happened in the situation. Like, no, if you go out and do this, they might kill you. And you've already lost the one thing that you had. I don't want to lose the one thing that I have.
I felt like it was quite typical of mothers. And you have to think about Mamie's mother was born in Mississippi.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Mamie was 2, but they migrated when Mamie was 2. So Chicago was all they knew. Well, Detroit and Chicago. But Mamie's mom knew firsthand how things were down there.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, what happened was wrong. If you go down there, they could kill you. I could lose you too. Mm-hmm. So yeah, she did try to hold her daughter back. Like my mom was like that. If I want to experience something, you don't need to do that now.
Mm-hmm.
She tried to put her fears on me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just like Mamie's mom tried to put her fears on her.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that is why Mamie fought so hard for Emmett, because she wasn't necessarily a product of the South. She's a product of the North.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's a good one. Because of the differences of where she was from, she knows a little bit more justice, I guess, than the folks down in the South knew.
Or has the audacity to demand it. You know?
Right. Yes. Because, they're not living in the same... I mean, unfortunately, they weren't really living in the same world.
But because I know one thing, when Emmett got on the train and he started doing all that damn jumping around, I've been, oh no.
I was sitting there, like, sit down, boy. What's wrong? Sit down.
Like, boy, you already fucking up. Oh God.
No, you sit next to me. You got to be next to me.
Yeah, and then like her like willingness to let it be an open casket, because like she wanted everyone to literally see that what was happening, like what happened, she didn't want them to bury that. And I am with it. I am with her. Like,
I cannot say the same.
It took a very strong woman to do that, but they already knew that they were trying to cover up what happened. I think it was extremely important for her to be like, no, photograph this, put it everywhere, because I don't want them to just act like this didn't happen. If she already had the fight in her, like, that just took the fight up a whole nother level. Like, I don't know if I could have said open casket, but I definitely would have been like, take this picture and put it in the sky if you have to. I think that was such an important part of this whole entire trial. Everything that happened, her willingness to do that, be strong and do that, is what really, really set it off. And I think there were even white people who were like, oh my God, no, like, this is not okay. Because even the sheriff of what, Money, was it Money, Mississippi?
Money, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Something like that. He was like, no, I don't want them to get away with this. Like, no. Yeah. And I think that was so important. And yeah, I appreciate, I know it sounds so crazy to say, I appreciate her for doing that, but I do. Like, I you know how they started trying to slander her afterwards, like, we don't think that's him, his body's too whatchamacallit. Like, no, excuse me. Or this is just a hoax. All of that, when you erase, for me, you erase all of that doubt when you see that picture. When you, like, you telling me that a mama don't know that that's her baby?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what? And all the people who were like, no, I don't think so. I wholeheartedly know that they knew that that was the truth, but because they didn't want to admit that, oh, a white person did this. No, it wasn't us. Every single person in the world knew that that was Emmett Till. And so everyone who was like, nope, I don't think so, were trying to lie to them to make the white community look good.
Do you think they dumped his body in that county because they knew what type of sheriff they had in their county? Because the body, the other sheriff was like, this is my crime scene. I'm going to do what I want to do. Y'all going to bury this body ASAP. We going to brush this under the rug. And the other sheriff was like, no, this is my crime scene. These people did a kidnapping. We need to find out where this fan blade came from. We need to find out where all they were, where this crime actually took place before they just dumped his body in your county. And why would they dump his body in your county?
That was so weird. Like, that is one part of the whole story that was just all over the place to me. Because would they have been smart enough to be like, we're gonna put the body where we have a friend? Because they were chummy with that sheriff.
I think they were.
I don't know. I wouldn't put anything past that sheriff.
No.
I will say this. Going back to what Kayla was saying, like, bless Mamie Till Mobley, because I don't know if I could get past my pain to think of the greater good. Because what they did to that boy was just so unnecessary. And I'm obviously not condoning lynching or anything like that, but kill the boy and be done. But what they did to that body, that was some sick shit. That was sick. Like, the way they cut him all up, shot him, gouged his eyeballs out, like, collapsed. Half his head was collapsing. Like, I purposely turned away when they showed, like, the I guess the recreation, the replica of the body. And then also when I watched the documentary, I didn't look at the real pictures because I saw them as I was a teen, and the images burned into my brain, and it took me years to try and get rid of that because he looked like,
you can't unsee it. You cannot unsee it once you see it.
For somebody to, because we've seen bodies lynched. We've seen the pictures. You know, that is not something that's new to us. And they're terrible. And you know, they might set the body on fire, stuff like that. But that was like way past lynching into some like weird science fair project psychoness. That was like, who could do that to another human being?
Exactly.
That was some sick, disgusting shit to even like. Even like I try to put myself in the mind of like a lot of different people, and I'd be like, okay, even if I was like with my brother and I'm like, we're gonna kill this so and so, I'd be, whoa, you could do no, okay, now you said we were just gonna kill him, we didn't say we were gonna do all this. Like, that shit was outrageous what they did to that body. Like, who can do that?
And I know we haven't gotten, we're only on episode 3, but we know the outcome of all of this. And I just was like, y'all can't see me, but I'm patting my forehead like it hurt. Because I don't see how anyone sees the condition of a body like that and is like, nope, let them walk. I don't see how you do it.
And the games they play, like, oh, that's not him. Like, Mamie was a strong woman, because I know I would be protective and be like, no, just cover my baby up. I don't want the world to see him like this. But she turned that around and did it for the greater good. And we've had conversations about this. I thank God, and I'm so grateful to my ancestors and those who came before me who participated in the civil rights movement, because I would not be strong enough. I hope I would if I were born back then I hope I would be strong enough to participate in like the lunch counter protests and the marches and all that stuff. But when you see the footage of them dogs, the water hoses, the beatings, them walking in them little high heel shoes, 50 miles to Montgomery in them hot ass church hats. I mean, I'm like, that's a lot. That ain't even touching slavery. Like, because I hate to hear people be like, oh, I couldn't be no slave. Ain't no way I would have killed Master. No, you wouldn't have. You would have done what you were told.
Exactly.
And
I think that if I had been a slave, number one, it's hot out there. Oh God, this is gonna sound like such first world fucking problems. But baby, I'm
right there with you.
It in the South. I'm from the South.
It gets hot.
It be getting hot as hell. Like, and then ain't no sunscreen, nothing. Like, and then you hungry on top of that because they didn't feed you nothing for real. Like, no, I don't think I could have made it. So I thank the Lord that I also didn't.
Girl, yes, I agree for 100,000% shrimps. And then some of the dumbass laws that they had, like Black people weren't allowed to eat vanilla ice cream.
Oh, really? Lord,
have you heard that?
No, I didn't know that.
My ass would be out here just.
Okay, I was reading this article. It was like because they were like, why do Black people, especially older Black people, love butter pecan ice cream so much? And it was basically because other flavors like chocolate, butter pecan, those were the only flavors that Black people were allowed to eat. You could not be a Black person on the street eating a vanilla ice cream cone. Vanilla was for white people.
That's crazy.
That is some bullshit.
Wow. I got to go tell the folks downstairs.
If I find that article, I'll share it with y'all. But like, yeah, white people ate vanilla. And I don't know if it was just the image of a Black person licking on a white ice cream cone. I don't know.
Drove them nuts. It was like, wait a minute.
Exactly. But it was like everybody's aunt, everybody, older person love butter pecan. Older people love butter pecan. But yeah, it's because it was illegal. You could not eat. Well, I don't think it was illegal, but it was like one of those taboos that you could not break.
That's so interesting. Like they just was like, nah, anything white, bro. Can't have it.
And like the whole jumping off the sidewalk when a white person comes, just like just those little microaggressions and those nuances when it came to like Jim Crow, and then the laws and the separate bathroom. It's just like one thing I cannot understand. I guess probably because I try to view things so logically that when I read it, I'm like, this doesn't make any fucking sense. But I can't use the same bathroom as you, but I can breastfeed your child.
I can't use the same bathroom as you, but I gotta clean it because I'm touching everything that you're using.
Thank you. Like you don't. Black people are lazy,
but they're doing everything for you.
Thank you. We worked for hundreds of years for free, and then like black women were maids for decades. Like what? I guess I'm trying to apply logic to something that is illogical, and it just fucking baffles me. But back to Mamie though, because I will go off on that. And let's get back on task, children. But yeah, the funeral, and then to have people, and not only did she like have this casket open, but she had a funeral where people were coming in, and like when you read the accounts of that, it's like the reactions, people were fainting, people were throwing up. Like I don't know if I could have watched that and have people reacting that way to my child. Like that woman, God bless Mamie Till Mobley. God bless her. Because what she did was very impactful, obviously, and very important, but I don't know if I could have done it. That's for somebody to just absolutely mutilate your child, not kill, not just murder, but mutilate them.
Yeah.
And then you put it on display because you want the world to see. And honestly, because of, I guess it was explained to her, or she knew that information like that would travel fast. And when you think about like other things in the civil rights movement, like the South was like this isolated place where things would just happen and the information would stay down there. But once that information started bleeding out of the South and then getting into the North and where the president could see and all that stuff, that's when change started to happen.
Yeah.
So seeing all of that and using your tragedy for the greater good, God bless her.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
What did you all think of the NAACP's involvement during this?
I did not know that they were as involved as they were in this case. And I thought it was excellent. Like they were the driving force that really kind of, I mean, it was a compliment of her will to let everyone know, but they were also a really good driving force because I feel like at one point she was just like, okay, whatever. But they were like, no, we need to attack this head on if you want to see some real change. And they helped her do that. They got white journalists involved. Like, I think that they did an amazing job.
What you trying to figure out what it stands for? What is this NAACP?
I know well what it stands for. Being a junior member and all. But
you think they overstepped?
No, I don't. I think that it was good that they were there to support her and stuff. Sometimes I often think about, what are the true motives of people, or especially like organizations when they really step in. But I think aside from all that, their support to her during that time was vital. I think that they did, encourage her to keep moving in the whole process. But I think Mamie Till was pretty fired up herself. So, I don't think they just manipulated her into doing all of that stuff. I think it was a joint effort. And as we move into episode 3 of the series, we really see the NAACP's involvement and how heavy it was with like smuggling her into Mississippi. The role they played in, helping her get the body. It was great that the organization kind of like swooped in and was there with her during those hard times and the trial and all that. So I don't know. I have not watched the last 2 episodes. I'm waiting for my honey because, like I said, I cannot watch them by myself because I will burn my entire neighborhood down.
Whoa, not the
And,
name. Jesus.
and I'll be sitting in the cinders like, I don't know what happened.
Right. That's so funny.
But I have. So I'm waiting. We're gonna watch it tonight. The last 2 episodes. Have y'all watched the last 2 episodes yet?
No, I've only
Not
watched.
yet. I needed a break.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I watched those first 3, and I was like, okay, I know they're about to get into the
'Cause
trial,
right.
saying wild stuff, so I don't.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I need a break.
Yeah. They really do get into the role of like Dr. Howard and all that, the role that they played supporting Emmett's mom during the trial. But what do you think, Terrell, about the NAACP's role in?
I think that they were very influential during that time, and it was very much needed. They did need that support from the NAACP and other Black publications like Jet Magazine, and you saw them throughout the film, and the other Black reporters joining with the white reporters to get the story not just in the Black communities, but get it to every community in America so they could see what was going on and how. And I think that they cared more. It seems like the white people down south cared more about how they looked to everyone else in America than their actual actions. And I think that showing that on a large scale really helped get some wheels turning. Now, some things I saw them do, like to get her to do some extra speaking and stuff like that, I was like, is it exploitative? Because I know that they do have an agenda that they're trying to fulfill, which isn't just for them, it's for all Black people. And I didn't have a problem with it, but I was just wondering like how that would look. Like, what are your true intentions? Like you said, is this about my son? Are you trying to do something for Emmett, or are you trying to do something to just get the situation changed? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I guess there probably is going to be some self-serving motives behind it, but I think for the most part, it was great that she had that kind of national support. So yeah, absolutely.
Well, another quick question: what do you think of the NAACP now compared to then? Because you really don't hear much from them, period.
Well, I don't know if I have any
thoughts on the current state of the NAACP.
I mean, I know you'll see, number one stunner Al Sharpton swoop in when things happen. I will say, because we had chapters where we grew up, and we were junior members as teenagers. But I don't know if I ever saw, as far as in that time, in that era, or maybe as a teenager, my eyes weren't open, but I didn't see a lot of real activism.
Yeah.
It was mainly like to serve Christian organizations, like to support the churches.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but it was a different scale.
Yeah.
That makes sense. What do you think about the current?
It seems like they have disappeared from the forefront of things, because things are still happening, but they usually put the face of it on Black Lives Matter or another organization. They don't really show what the NAACP is currently doing, even though I'm sure they are currently out doing things. It's not as public as it was, especially during the beginnings of the NAACP and going through the civil rights movement. So I was that was just something I was thinking while I was watching. I was like, man, the NAACP was really on top of this. They really put this to the forefront. They really got eyes on this situation and were able to push for that change that was much needed. But things are still needed from the NAACP, and I don't really see as much as you would like to think that they're still about that mission.
Yeah, I can see you definitely saying that, and I feel like some of that, I feel like social media has ruined a lot of organizations. Because like, okay, NAACP back then, of course there were definitely some strong women involved, but it was like a male led organization. And we all know, people have secret lives. I mean, look at all the stuff that's come out about Martin Luther King, about him having some, some extra fun. But but I think it's hard for like, these organizations to have like these men at the forefront. And not to say that just men are just
no, go ahead, say
trash. But like, who is our Martin Luther King right now? Do we have one? Do we have a like strong civil rights leaders? I mean, I know we have Al Sharpton, we have Jesse Jackson, we have, but all of them have been marred by like
who show up.
I don't have faith in anyone right now.
Yeah.
But it's like, here's the thing. Social media has made us learn so much about people to where it's like, okay, now we judge their character on everything, like who they, what they do, but also who they've slept with. Because like, okay, Martin Luther King, I'm pretty sure all them back then knew he was whorish, but no, the world didn't know. So it was just like, okay, we just have what he put, what is put out there, like
what his actual work was.
Yeah, and that did not take away from his work. It was just like, it was like the quiet whisperings of, well, he do this and this and that. I don't know.
I think our world is so far gone that anyone who comes out nowadays as like an activist or something, they're going to have a stone somewhere. And the way that the world is right now, a stone gets you disqualified. And it is stones that we should not care about. I don't give a flying fuck if you are out here sleeping with everyone, as long as they're legal and appropriately legal. Like, I don't care. Like, if you're doing activism and things like that and you're trying to better our livelihood, why should I care who you're sleeping with? Like, why? I mean, I guess they tried to say it was a moral issue because he was married and but I'm like, and he's still doing work for us, getting things done. Like,
I feel like Martin Luther King, we grew up in church. I know how women throw themselves at pastors and deacons. We've seen it. If Martin Luther King come to your city, he gonna have some groupies. It's and he would have to been a hell of a strong ass man to turn it down. And perhaps that wasn't his strength. And it doesn't take away from his activism and work. And, there are women who specifically go after pastors. Like,
you're right. Yeah, that's their life. That's what they live for, to go after someone in that type of position.
Right. That position of power. And a lot of places he went, he couldn't always stay in hotels. So a lot of civil rights people, they went from house to house. We're gonna stay at Miss such and such house because she frying chicken and she take care of us, and maybe she took care of us a little further.
And think we're gonna get you a plate, get you cleaned up, and I'm gonna go in there clean you up there, playboy.
That's right. That's right. I ain't no hater, so I don't think that takes away from somebody's character.
That's funny.
Yeah, but as long as you're doing the work, just do the work.
Nope.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if you're not doing
do
nothing
what you need
illegal
to
and
do.
weird, do the work. Do the work.
But you know, this is also us living in this time period. Yes, then that's what he did. Did that work? But back then, you know, and still now, it's like, oh, that's that man. He didn't need to do that. And shoot, FBI, old Hoover, old stinking ass, tried to destroy him with it. But yeah, I think we can kind of stop right there, and because we've got 3 more episodes to go. Is there anything else that you guys want to add as far as anything we didn't discuss, Terrell?
I did want to talk about the jury.
Okay.
That grand jury meeting that they had, where they were even going to see if they were going to go forward with the trial, and how it was an all male, all white jury. And I was just sitting there like, the only reason they are going to even put this through is because of the pictures, because of how they're looking down in the South. If that stuff hadn't occurred, this would have been a story we probably never would have heard of. It just would have been one of many lynchings that happened down in Mississippi.
Because I talked to my mom about, you know, because she lived through this era. She was born in 1944, but she's probably killed me for sharing that year, but she'll be all right. And she was saying like, she was like, I remember this happening, and she was like, I remember this happening, and I also remember, like, she was like, I was, because this happened in, what year was this? 55?
55.
Yeah, mom. So his mom would have been about 11 years old, and she was like, I remember reading about it, you know, but they never did say much about it. They tried to act like nothing happened. And you know, because I was like, are you gonna watch the series? And she was like, no, I don't want to watch that. That's too sad for me. And she was like, then that's when she started in with the whole, I remember this happening, and how they tried to kind of sweep it under the rug. So yeah, if it hadn't been for like Mamie's sacrifice, they would have just buried that body, buried the story, and
that would have been it.
That would have been it. Absolutely.
And so a tale you heard about from Mississippi, like, oh, back in the day, yeah, I remember the time they got that one boy and did him dirty and just buried him in the lead. That was it.
Absolutely. And
see, I'm getting mad.
Oh, I like it. Let us have it.
No, I'm over here like, and I can't believe when that white lady confessed all these years later, it didn't nobody go and string her ass up. But to my knowledge, she is still in hiding.
I thought she was dead.
Oh no!
I think she might have died.
No, she's alive. She's 88 years old.
She's still alive, because I remember that it came out that she was still alive, and that she finally told the truth a couple years ago. And my thing is, don't nobody know where that heifer lived at, because that would have been the first thing.
Yeah, get her.
From my understanding, from my understanding, what I've read, she's in Raleigh, and because while researching and watching these episodes to get ready for this podcast, I was like, Carolyn Bryant went on to live a full life with her children and her grandbabies. And I was like, I know one of them grandbabies at the very least is on Facebook. And I wonder if any of them been like, Grammy, make a Facebook so I can talk to you. So I searched on Facebook. And let me tell you, Black people, I love us. Black people, if you're listening, Black people, I love y'all. Because Black people, we don't let nothing go, and it's hilarious. Because it was some lady on there, Carolyn Bryant, which it wasn't even the lady, but
now they're going after any Carolyn Bryant.
Crying, laughing, because it was like this lady Karen Bryant. She was like, here's a photo of me and my grandbabies, and people was on there like, oh, well, you know who didn't get to have grandbabies?
Oh no!
Oh shit! Oh shit!
I'm like, oh, I feel sorry for anybody who has the name Carolyn Bryant that is not the Carolyn Bryant, because golly, that thing was funny to me. I'm gonna have to screenshot that and share it because it's hilarious. And then people were commenting underneath it. They were like, "It's not her. It's not her." They're like,
Her name Carolyn Bryant, ain't it? Like, oh Lord.
she said I had the decent sense to check your name if it
Yeah.
wasn't.
You should have known better than to name your daughter that.
Oh Lord. But there's like all these petitions and stuff to throw her 88-year-old ass in prison. And so yeah, but there's pictures of her like with her family and stuff, like as like today, like as an older 88-year-old. And I think they're like, people are like, this is her granddaughter's page, and like people sharing it and stuff. And it's like, but then I also have to be careful.
Good. I don't give a damn.
Not the grandbaby.
Carolyn Bryant can get it.
If you ain't come out and denounce your mama and your daddy, I don't give a damn.
Oh, and I be wanting to like research and put Emmett Till in Google search, but if them pictures of that funeral come up, I got to.
You know it will. You know it will.
Because every time I'm like look out, like researching and stuff, I'm like scrolling. Like,
I just want y'all to know. I think that lady should be under the jail or under a couple of more other places.
Oh.
Personally.
Excuse me. Agreed. And
because you lied
badly. Yeah. And the next episodes are going to get into how deep that lie was, but yeah, by the end of it, they had Emmett is like this slick pimp from Chicago that was like, I fuck all the white bitches.
Whoa.
Like,
wow.
Yeah, like the lie like snowballed into making Emmett out to be this like rapist that came down to rape all they white women. I mean, it's crazy.
Oh my
so
I'm not looking forward to this.
But yeah, it'll the next episodes will get into that. But yeah, I think that is any other points you guys want to talk about before we break for next week's episodes?
We could probably get into the next one about Ruby Hurley and Medgar Evers and their contributions to this case.
I've never heard of Ruby. Of course, I heard of Medgar, but I was like, take your time.
What's going on?
Well, no, I was just gonna say that I thought that was his wife, but then they introduced as a Ruby, and I was like, no, his wife was Merle. So
who was this young lady with him?
Yeah, but I like her.
Yeah, and I want to see what she's gonna do. Just about toward the end, the path she had to take to get to Mississippi, like that was like that's crazy. To have to do that, like, well, we got to get you in the
underground.
Yes, like, come on, are you serious? Y'all really don't want the truth to come out? Like, quit.
Oh playing. Boy,
I just don't understand
y'all. And when that,
but yeah, that made me look so brave. God made me look so hero.
Yeah, she is.
Oh God,
I'm glad they told this story. I really am. It was a story that was needed to be told,
right? Because we don't get a lot about the women of the civil rights movement, except for Rosa Parks, and we hear about Coretta, but it's basically her role as Martin Luther King's wife. So, but like I hope, like I said in the beginning, I hope that this is going to be like a series where they take a season and talk about, because I want to hear more about Ruby. I want to hear more about Diane Nash. It's quite a few women that Medgar's wife and Betty Shabazz, and I guess, and we got so riled up I forgot to give a little cocktail.
I was like, well, maybe this so deep we ain't gonna drink today because we don't want to get too fired up.
There's always a reason to drink. But we will post the recipe because I did have one for you guys.
I thought that might be happening.
Yeah, well, I'll just post it for you guys. I was gonna make some Mississippi punch, but we'll get into that, or maybe we can save it for episode 2. Who knows? I don't know. But so anybody want to share their best, worst, and weirdest? Terrell, what was your best, worst, and weirdest?
Best, believe that the story being told, period, is the best part about it. They really took care with the story and let you see all sides of it. And I mean, of course, stuff I didn't like was how he was treated, how his mother had to fight so hard just to get some semblance of justice, and how it really didn't feel like a victory quite yet, even though they were like, oh, we made some arrests, oh, we're going through the grand jury, oh, we're doing this, we're doing that. But it seems like basically a show to put on for the rest of the United States. The weirdest, it wasn't nothing that was weird, but it wasn't nothing weird about this. This was so far well done and much needed.
Okay. All right, Kayla, you want to share your best, worst, weirdest?
Sure. My best was being able to see how, loving of a household he came from, how the dedication of a mother to a son in life and in death. That was my best. My worst was that they really tried to silence my niggas, and my niggas was like, "No, we're not gonna let y'all do that." So I really like that too. I mean, that was the worst part, that they really tried to get away with it. That they did it, and then they tried to get away with it. And weirdest was again, it's so hard to say something weird because I think this was it was crafted so perfectly. I guess the weirdest part that you niggas would actually think to do that shit to somebody.
Agreed. I would say my best, worst, weirdest. My best would be just learning new angles of the story, things that I did not know, especially the parts of Emmett's life, his birth, his childhood, his personality, just seeing him. Because, the little bit that we actually know about Emmett as a person, aside from this tragedy, was very little. And so just to see, even if it was just a dramatization or reenactment or whatever, just to see young Black boys being happy and having fun and just being silly and just being alive and free. Just seeing Emmett in that capacity instead of just what we know of Emmett as just a mangled up body that something happened to. That was the best, just seeing Emmett's life pre-tragedy. The worst, just watching stuff like this always takes a toll on me. I have to be very careful with my spirit. So like race films like this is just very hard. But it is, I feel like if they can live through it, I can at least sit through a couple hours of it. So I watch it. And even though it's trauma porn, but I feel like it's necessary to watch and know the evils of what you're dealing with. The weirdest, I can't say that there's anything weird about the production because the story so far has been crafted really well. But I would just say maybe the weirdest would be associated with just the time period and just how weird racial laws were and racial expectations. Like, even if you consider Blacks, as far as a white person, if you consider Blacks to be second-class citizens, like some of those laws were just outrageous. Like, you can't share the sidewalk with me, but I can take your money to buy. You can shop in my store. Like, it's just weird shit that I try to, like I said earlier, apply logic to, and there's just no logic there.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So, anybody want to share what they're binging this week along with these episodes that we're watching? Kayla, what you watching this week, girl?
Oh my gosh, if you guys haven't tuned in to Abbott Elementary,
I've been
get
watching it.
into it.
It's so cute.
It really is. It's such a good show. And then, see, not to bring it to the whites, but the whites have been trashing it. And
Really?
like, this ain't for you then, boo. This ain't for you then.
What are they upset about? What are they saying?
Really?
And it's just a knockoff of The Office. And like, this isn't a true portrayal of how teachers go through life. Like, no, like this isn't our experience at all.
I mean, it's supposed
and I'm like,
to be
maybe not for you.
Yeah.
But this is resonating greatly for us. And it's drama. Like, it's dramatized. Of course, it's just not happening like the exact way it's happening.
So they're saying it's a knockoff of The Office. What are they talking about? That whole break the fourth wall thing, looking into the camera. Modern Family did that for years. So
hell yeah. And my thing is, they were like doing think pieces. Like, there's no way the principal would have had time to go get her nails done with her substitute. No, of course not. It's a fucking TV show.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I'm watching Abbott Elementary.
I love it. I hope it continues.
Yeah. I need this to run as long as Grey's Anatomy at this point. It's so good. So that's what I'm watching. I'm trying to think, is there anything else that I'm really, really looking forward to this week? Nothing that I can think of off the top of my head.
Okay. What about you, Terrell? What are you binging this week?
I'm watching Abbott Elementary and another show. What is it? American Auto. But yeah, it's a new comedy series with
Oh yeah. I heard of that.
Yeah, it's pretty funny so far. I like comedies. I like to laugh. I have been trying to watch Boba Fett on Disney Plus, but I haven't gotten into it yet. So I'm like, I'm gonna watch it, but I'm probably gonna wait like I did with The Mandalorian and watch it all once they're all released.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm gonna tell y'all what Kirsten's gonna watch this week. Kirsten's gonna watch Encanto.
Oh yes, you need to watch that.
Yeah, sign me up for that. I do plan to watch it, but it's on the list.
It better be on the list for right after we get off this meeting.
Ever growing list that you will never watch any of these things.
It's so long.
You should watch Spider-Man too.
Yeah, I'll be sure to get on that.
Spider-Man was so good.
I heard it was good. It's on the list.
No, you need to watch all of them now.
No, count me out. So anyway, what I actually am binge watching, I'm watching a lot of TV here lately. I don't know what's going on with me, but I've been watching Abbott Elementary, love it. I've watched Grand Crew. I really like that.
Yes,
Grand Crew is so cute. I hope that it lasts. Yeah, well, but you know what? When it comes to series, I show them some grace in the first season because, especially like when they put together them ensemble cast, it was like, people have to get used to each other. So you can tell they're still growing and getting used to each other and finding out their groove. But I thought it was cute. I think it's a cute little show. And I like that it shows Black people in a different light, It's like some guys on there, they're sensitive and intelligent, and we don't always get shown in that light. So I like it for that. And I'm late to the party, but I finally watched First Wives Club on BET with Jill Scott. It's in it's about to be the third season now. I loved it. Like, I watched it twice. I loved it. And I've also watched Miss Pat. That
yeah. Okay, yeah, Miss Pat.
What'd you say, Terrell?
I heard it was funny. I want to see that.
My opinion on it is quite belligerent, so get ready.
Hell yeah.
It is very, but I like this shit though.
Oh,
like, you're gonna hear a million F-bombs, the N-word, the P-word, all the words.
Oh yeah, they brought that thing up out of there. And Pat, Patricia Williams, she is funny, but let me tell you, the breakout
star for me was Tammy Roman. She is
Tammy from Real World?
Brilliant. Yes, she is brilliant on that damn show. Her comedic timing, I never knew that she was capable. Because all you do is see her on like reality stuff, and she's quick. Like she's real quick with it. And like, you know, when people argue with her on them reality shows, they gonna get their ass told. But I had no idea that she could translate that to like situational comedy. Like she watched the show because everybody else, like Pat, you can tell she's a comedian. So when she talks, it sounds like she's on stage. Like her acting is not good. She's funny, so she delivers some zingers. But Tammy, she is acting well. She is hilarious. Like her timing, like it's worth the watch just for her alone. I mean, everybody is good in it, but Tammy is amazing. Like,
is it kind of like Thea, like a hardcore Thea?
Why? Because they both fat, Terrell.
No.
Oh Lord, what happened here?
But yeah, it is kind of in the same vein because it's like a family Black show, but it's urban, but it's still like, you know, a family that's not like super duper poor, you know, whatever. It's just a Black family, but honey, Miss Pat, you gonna hear motherfuckers and she talking to them kids like, nigga, get your ass in the. It's real, like,
yeah.
I was not ready. And Randall was the one told me to watch it. And I was like, I'm surprised you even like this because he ain't even really all that fond of the N-word. It's me that drops the N-bombs like nothing. But it's very belligerent, but it's funny. And Tammy is just, I cannot say enough. I sing her praises all day long. She is brilliant in that damn show.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that.
But yeah, watch it, Terrell, because I'm curious to find out what you think. But it's funny though. It's a cute little show, and it has been renewed, so I guess it did well.
Oh my gosh. Well, you guys, if you want to read up on Miss Pat, you can go into www.inmytheater.com and go ahead and watch that, right? Read that review. Right. Yes. I think it is In My Theater /Miss/Pat.
Thanks everybody for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. For bonus content and to learn more about the show, head over to sipsandscripts.com. If you have a suggestion for a film you'd like us to talk about, leave us a voicemail, let us know. Or if you have something to add to the conversation or want to say hello, leave us a voicemail and we'll play it on the show. Please follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Sips and Scripts. Thanks again and see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.